Good morning, students. Today we'll read Class 10 Science Chapter 14. Topic is Sources of Energy. Here, we learned that the total energy during a physical and chemical process is conserved. It is already learned in Class 9. That is the conservation of energy. Then, we do hear so much about the energy crisis. So why? If energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, then we should have no worries about the conservation of energy. We should not worry about this energy crisis. We should be able to perform endless activities without thinking about the energy resources. These riddles can be resolved if we recall that, else we learned about energy. Energy comes in different forms and from one form to another form, which can be converted. Like if we drop a plate from a height, the potential energy of that plate at the certain height, and when it comes towards the ground, the potential energy at the bottom, these are different. When the plate starts to fall down, then the potential energy start to decrease, whereas the kinetic energy will start to increase there. When the plate is just reach the ground, just before it reaches the ground, at that time the potential energy becomes negligible, whereas kinetic energy becomes maximum. But the total energy in the system, when it is in the uppermost point and when it is just before to reach the ground, both the positions, the total energy remains same, whereas the potential energy decreased here and the kinetic energy is increased. Here the potential energy is converted into kinetic energy when it comes down. That is the transformation of energy from one form to another form. If we light a candle, the process is highly exothermic. Exothermic means the process, the reaction when heat energy is released. That process or reaction is said to be exothermic. When it is absorbed heat, that is called endothermic. When it is released the heat, it is called exothermic. When the candle is lighted, the process is said to be exothermic. So that the chemical energy in the wax is converted into heat energy and that of light energy. First it was stored in the wax as the form of chemical energy, but when it burns the candle, it burns the wax, this chemical energy transforms into heat energy and light energy. Similarly, when we lighten the electric bulb, electrical energy is transformed into light energy and heat energy. The total energy during a physical or chemical process remains the same. But suppose we consider the burning candle again. Can we somehow put together the heat and light generated along with the production of reaction to get back the chemical energy in the form of wax? No. Whenever chemical reaction happens, chemical process happens once, we can't get back to its original substance. We can't make the original substance here. We can't get the reactant again. Let's consider one example. Suppose you take 100 ml of water which has a temperature of 348 Kelvin and leave it in a room where the temperature is about 298 Kelvin. What will happen? Is there any way of collecting all the heat lost to the environment and making the water hot once it has cooled down? If any example that we consider, we will see that energy in the usable form is dissipated to the surroundings in less usable forms. Hence, any sources of energy used to the work is consumed and cannot be used again. So, what is the good source of energy? What can then be considered a good source of energy? If in our daily life use energy from various sources for doing work. We use diesel to run our trains, we use diesels to run our car, to run our water lifting pump and any other machines. We use electricity to light our street lamps, use electricity to cook the food, we use electricity to iron the clothes and etc. We use energy in our muscles to cycle to school also. Here the muscular energy for carrying out physical work, electrical energy for running various appliances, chemical energy for cooking food or running vehicles, all come from some sources. We need to know how do we select the source needed for obtaining the energy that is in usable form. How do we get energy from other form to make it usable? After going through two activities, the activities are first one, list 4 forms of energy that we use from morning when you wake up till you reach the school. From where we get these different forms of energy, you can collect it, you can imagine it. Can all these sources of energy, can we call it the ultimate source of energy? Why or why not? We can think about it. Next one is consider the various options we have when we choose a fuel or cooking our food. What are the criteria you would consider when trying to categorize something as a good fuel? And would your choice be different if you lived in a forest, in a remote mountain place or small island in New Delhi, or lived 5 centuries ago? How far the factors different in each cases when you want to choose any fuels, when you are living in different places like isolated places, like in forest which is isolated and it is very less communicated with any urban areas, or you are in Mumbai or Delhi or any metro city. The fuels used by the peoples in those different areas must be different. So, by these activities, we can see that particular sources of energy are few. We select for performing some work depend on many factors, many different factors. For example, while selecting a fuel, we would ask ourselves some questions like, how much heat does it release on burning? When you want to burn a fuel, how much energy we get by burning that? Like a piece of paper and a piece of wood. In which case we get more amount of energy, heat energy. How much heat energy we can get? That should be imagined first. First we think how much energy we get. Next, does it produce a smoke, a lot of smoke? Then we think how much smoke it will produce when we burn it. If more smoke will produce, then we generally do not prefer the such type of substance to burn. If the substance gives less amount of heat on burning, then also we do not like to burn that or use that as a fuel. Next, is it easily available or not? If you are living in Mumbai or Delhi and you want to burn the wood, firewood, you want to cook your food by using firewood. It is very less available in those places. Or when you are living in a forest area, and which is very hard to communicate, and you want to use LPG there, then it is very less available in those places. In this way, we think about whether it is easily available or not, it is accessible or not. We think about it. Given the range of fuels we have today, what are the factors which would limit our choice, and when it comes to a particular task like cooking our food? Would the fuels selected also depend on the work to be done? For example, would you choose one fuel of cooking and another for heating the room in winter? We could then say a good source of energy would be one. First one is which would do a large amount of work per unit volume or unit mass. Second one, it will be easily accessible. Third one, be easy to store and transport. And the next one is perhaps most importantly, be economic. So we have to consider such type of property of the fuels. First one is it should do a large amount of work in it. Per unit volume or mass. By taking small amount of substance, we can get large amount of work, like very less amount of burning substance should be taken, like firewood or coal or diesel or like that of fuel, and we get more amount of it. That is said to be large amount of work is done in unit volume or mass. Second one is it should be easily accessible. Easily available or easily accessible. Third one is it should be easily stored and transported. Next one is it should be economical. It should be economical. That means the price of the fuel should be less, not high, that every people can buy it. So first we have to consider the calorific value. Calorific value, that is how much heat it will produce on burning, the calorific value of the fuel. Next one is the production of smoke, which makes the air pollute, and third one is the availability. Here this point should be considered again, whether it is easy to store or not, easy to transport some any remote areas or not, and it should be economic. Next we read about conventional sources of energy. In ancient times, wood was the most common source of heat energy. The energy of flowing water, blowing wind was also used for limited activities. Can you think of some these uses of those things? The exploitation of coal as source of energy made the industrial revolution possible. Increasing industrialization has led to better quality of life all over the world. It has also caused the global demand of energy to grow at a tremendous rate. The growing demand for energy was largely met by the fossil fuels, that is coal and petroleum. Our technologies were also developed for using this energy source. But these fuels are formed over millions of years ago and there are only limited reserves. The fossil fuels are non-renewable sources of energy. So, we need to conserve them. Non-renewable sources of energy. That means two types of sources are there. One is renewable, another is non-renewable. Renewable means the sources which can be renewed in a short interval of time, like wind energy, water energy, thermal energy, ocean thermal energy, tidal energy, wave energy. These are the energy. When we use them at once, then it can be renewed in a very short time. Such type of source of energy is said to be renewable source of energy. But when we use coal or petroleum, then this energy cannot be renewed in a short time. It takes millions of years ago to replenish that. Such type of sources of energy are said to be non-renewable sources of energy. That the fossil fuels are non-renewable sources of energy, so we need to conserve these non-renewable sources of energy. If we were to continue consuming these sources at such alarming rates, we would soon run out the energy. In order to avoid these alternate sources of energy were explored, but we continue to be largely dependent on the fossil fuels for most of our energy requirement. Sure, burning fossil fuels has other disadvantages too, that we read in class 9 about the air pollution caused by burning of coal or petroleum products, how different gases, the acidic gases will produce and it floats in the air. It causes acid rain and then different suspended particles SPM also present in air by the burning of some substances. When we inhale them, then it causes different diseases, respiratory diseases. The oxides of carbon, nitrogen, sulfur that are released on burning fossil fuels are acidic oxides, which lead to acid rain, which affects our water and soil resources. In addition to the problem of air pollution, recall the greenhouse effect and gases like carbon dioxide. Here we will read about thermal power plant. The large amount of fossil fuels The large amount of fossil fuels are burnt every day in power station to heat up water to produce steam, which further runs the turbine to generate electricity. In thermal power plant, we always try to get electricity, the electricity which can be used in every field, in domestic as well as in business purposes. By using electricity, we can do different machines, or we can produce different things by using the machines. So in all these cases, we need to use electricity, and this production of electricity can be done by using heat energy. So it is needed to use the fossil fuels to heat up the water, and the water vapor comes out as a form of steam, is used to rotate the turbine. When turbine rotates, then it produces electricity by the dynamo. The transmission of electricity is more efficient than transporting coal or petroleum over the same distance. When you want to transport coal or petroleum to remote areas or to do different works, by this activity it is more convenient for the electricity to transmit to any remote area, or it is very hard to reach places also. We can transmit the electricity to do different works, to run the machines also. It is very easy. That's why we use the fossil fuels to generate the electricity. So many thermal power plants are set up near coal or oil fields, by which they will get the fuels very easily, and it can be used easily. The term thermal power plant is used since fuel is burned to produce heat energy, which is converted into electrical energy. Next, hydro power plant. Another traditional source of energy was the kinetic energy of flowing water, or the potential energy of water that is present at height. Hydro power plants convert the potential energy of falling water into electricity. Since there are very few waterfalls which could be used as the source of potential energy, hydro power plants are associated with dams in the last century. A large number of dams were built all over the world. As we can see, a quarter of our energy requirement in India is made by hydro power plants. In order to produce the hydel electricity, high-rise dams are constructed on the river to obstruct the flow of water and hereby collect water in large reservoirs. The water level rises, and this process of kinetic energy of flowing water gets transformed into potential energy. The energy from the high level of the dam is carried through pipes to the turbine. At the bottom of the dam, since the water in the reservoir would be refilled each time it rains, we would not have to worry about the hydroelectricity sources getting used up the way fossil fuels would get finished one day. But construction of big dams have certain problems associated with it. The dams can be constructed only in a limited number of places. The preferable in hilly areas, the terrains. Large areas of agricultural land and human habitations are to be sacrificed as they get submerged. Large ecosystems are destroyed by constructing the dams when it is submerged under the water of the dam. The vegetation which is submerged roots under anaerobic condition and gives rise large amount of methane gas that can cause greenhouse effect. It creates the problems of satisfactory rehabilitation of displaced people, opposition to the construction of Tehri Dam on the river Ganga and Sardar Sarovar project on the river Narmada were built are due to such problems. Here, some advantages and some disadvantages as shown here. First, if we consider the advantages, then we look here, it is eco-friendly, no such type of pollutions, that air pollutions or water pollutions will be happened when we use this hydroelectric plant, when we use this electricity generated by the dam, that is by water source. Next one is when it is constructed the dam, then we can build canals, and through these canals the water can be supplied to the areas which are very hard to reach water there, and the persons or the farmers who are living in those areas can get water throughout the year to cultivate the farm. Some disadvantages are also there, that when the dam is constructed, then in large areas the vegetative part will be submerged in those areas. Next, the peoples who are living in those areas will be displaced. They will be rehabilitated. Next, the agricultural land will be destroyed by this submerging of the area by water. Next, when the vegetation gets submerged, then the plants will be rotten and it produces methane gas, that marsh gas, that can cause greenhouse effect. That is the advantages and disadvantages of this hydroelectric plant. Next, we'll read about geothermal energy. Due to geological changes, molten rocks formed in the deeper hard regions of earth crust are pushed upward and trapped in certain regions, that is called hotspot. The molten rocks which is present in deeper of the earth are pushed up and it is trapped in some regions, that is called hotspot. When underground water comes in contact with this hotspot, then steam is generated there, and sometimes hot water from that region finds outlets at the surface, and such outlets are known as hot springs. The steam trapped in rock is routed through a pipe to run the turbine, to rotate the blades of turbine, and to use the products, it is to use to produce electricity. The cost of production would not be much, but there are very few commercially viable sites where such energy can be exploited. Next, we'll discuss about environmental consequence. Here we have studied various sources of energy in the previous sections. Exploiting any sources of energy disturbs the environment in some way or the other. In any given situations, the sources we choose depends on the factors, as the case of extracting energy from that sources. The economic or extracting energy from the source, the efficiency of the technology available, and the environmental damage that will caused by using that source. Those we talk of clean fuels like CNG, it would be more exact to say that a particular source is cleaner than the other. We have already seen that burning fossil fuels cause air pollution. In some cases, the actual operation of device like the solar cell may be pollution free, but the assembly of the device would have caused some environmental damage. Research continues in these areas to produce longer lasting device that will cause less damage throughout their life. So how long will energy sources last up? We saw earlier that we can't depend on the fossil fuels for much longer. Such sources that will get depleted someday are said to be exhausted. Sources are non-renewable sources of energy. On the other hand, if we manage biomass by replacing the trees we cut down for firewood, we can be assured of a constant supply of energy at a particular rate. Such energy sources that can be generated are called renewable sources of energy. And renewable sources is available. Renewable energy is available in our natural environment in the form of some continuing or repetitive current of energy, or is stored in such large underground reservoirs that the rate of depletion of reservoir because of extraction of usable energy is practically negligible.